Hi Sam, can you hear me?
Hey Morph, I can hear you. How are you doing?
You doing? Yeah, I'm good, Sam. I hope you're good as well. Let's just wait for um the crypto Valence to give me confirmation if we're already live, and I'll be back to you, Sam. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. All right, Sam. I think we're all good to start. I just want to ask, are you ready to ready to start, Sam?
Yeah, I'm ready. Should I be on video or off of video?
It's up to you if you want to open your com. It's definitely not necessary, but it's up to you.
Okay, I'll go off video then if no one else is on video.
All right, perfect. So, all right, to start things off, hello everyone, and welcome to today's AMA session. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're excited to explore DeFi.com, a platform focused on making decentralized finance more accessible, secure, and user friendly for everyone. We'll discuss its vision, unique features, security approach, future roadmaps, and how it's helping shape the next generation of DeFi. This AMA is designed to be open, informative, and engaging, giving our community an opportunity to learn more about the project directly from the team behind it. With that said, let's officially welcome our guest for today's AMA. We're pleased to join by Sam Newman, representing the DeFi.com. Hello, Sam. It's great to have you with us today. Please say hello to everyone joining us today.
Hello everyone. Nice to be talking with you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about DeFi.com and also get your questions and your thoughts on the project as well. Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Now, Sam, let's get started with our question. So everyone can gain, a better understanding of what DeFi.com is building and what's ahead for the project. All right, to start, to kick things off, Sam, we all know that DeFi.com is a very powerful and premium brand name, right? So, what was your long-term strategic vision behind choosing this domain, and how is it currently helping you in a global branding and market adoption?
Yeah, it's definitely, a very powerful brand name. DeFi.com is a very powerful domain that kind of adds a sense of, I think, seriousness and legitimacy to what we're building, because that's very much what we are building is a very serious and hopefully useful project. Our roots are grounded in DeFi, and we want to become the home of DeFi, which is very, a very broad term, but we want to basically take what DeFi is today and actually bring that to everyday life, make it way more accessible to people than DeFi currently is, and also bridge the gap between kind of the on-chain finance that people are using and the real world. So all of the kind of gains or yield that you are making on DeFi, you want to be able to use that in the real world via purchasing or converting it into fiat currency in some ways. So we see ourselves as well as being the home of DeFi and making DeFi more accessible, we are also kind of getting DeFi to meet people where they are in everyday life and bridging that gap between the real world spending, fiat currency, and DeFi and on-chain finance as well. That's where we're positioning ourselves.
Wonderful. That's great to hear, to be honest, because that's a very inspiring one. Sam, to be honest with you, we all know that a premium brand definitely builds us a very strong and global recognition as well. So moving ahead for our next question, So the DeFi market is highly competitive right now, right? So what is the unique value proposition or the UVP that sets DeFi.com apart from other existing platform and attracts mainstream users to your ecosystem?
So for us, I think it's what I touched on before. No one really, in my view, in the DeFi ecosystem, has made really serious strides in terms of bridging that gap between the real world and DeFi, and we want to we want to close that gap in multiple ways. Now we've seen a lot of innovation over the last sort of 12 to 18 months around stablecoin cards and how they enable spending of crypto assets. We we see that as kind of the first step in bridging that gap between the real world spending and DeFi itself. But a lot of the time, those things are not necessarily tied back to DeFi. You have to move your funds into like a stablecoin wallet before you're allowed to spend it. We want you to be able to access the best DeFi protocols and the best yields on DeFi, and then very easily and seamlessly be able to spend that on a Visa card. So we want to take kind of the foundations that have been laid and take it a step further in terms of making DeFi accessible and making the real world accessible to DeFi yield. Alongside the spending card, we'll also be providing our users with actual named fiat accounts. So, if you are getting paid your salary in fiat currency, you could actually get paid into your DeFi.com account in dollars or euros, for example, and siphon off a portion of that each month into stablecoins, or siphon off a portion of that, say 10% of that a month instead of into a traditional savings account. You could move some of those funds seamlessly into a DeFi yield bearing position that's going to generate better rates than what you'd have in traditional finance. So again, closing that gap between traditional finance, spending, and DeFi, we want to take that further than anyone has done before, whilst maintaining a really, I think, sleek and simple user experience that should be accessible and not intimidating to anyone. So if you're comfortable using a standard fintech app or a Revolut or one of the newer banks, you should be comfortable using the DeFi.com product as well. You don't need in-depth knowledge of DeFi in order to use this product.
That's correct. It's very indeed, Sam. Thank you so much for that answer. And also, it's good to hear because we all know that simplicity and accessibility is what mainstream adoption needs right now, right? So that's a good one, to be honest. So moving ahead, Sam, for our next question. Since the inception of your project, what has been biggest challenge you have faced, and how did your team overcome it to reach the current milestone?
Yeah, maybe I can choose two challenges which we've faced. So one is on the user experience itself. When you're when you're taking something that is inherently quite complex and technical, like DeFi and crypto more generally, you have to make trade-offs in the user experience if you want to give everyone all of the information and all of the actual underlying options. So we've had to make certain trade-offs, which simplifies the user experience in order to abstract away some of the complexity. So some people may find that trade-off is not for them, but I think the majority of people will like the simplicity of the user experience. But the flip side of that is that without the underlying details, we're trying to abstract away from people. So network, the underlying networks, gas abstraction, chain abstraction, account abstraction, these are all kind of newer technologies that are now enabling us to do these kind of things that weren't around a few years ago, and the underlying infrastructure is kind of caught up so that we can build user-friendly products on top of blockchains now. That's what we've tried to do here. But the trade-off there and the challenge is, how do you like distill down something that's very complex and very technical into a very simple user experience, which is a difficult thing to do. So that's one challenge. The other one is on privacy. We have a mission to make our product private. This is very, I guess, a lot of the privacy solutions are quite early in this space, and therefore we are kind of working with partners and things like that that are quite early in their stage as well. We have to solve a lot of the problems ourselves in privacy using tools like stealth addresses, but trying to maintain users' privacy on what is essentially for the most part, public blockchains is a difficult challenge that we're still working on, and our aim is that we continue to make our privacy solution better than what it will be initially. But that takes time, and the underlying infrastructure itself needs to mature as well. So that's another challenge that we're trying to focus on at the moment.
I'm sorry. Wow, that's thank you so much for sharing that very detailed answer, Tom. To be honest, that's a very helpful and informative one. And for me, it's always motivating to hear how how challenges shape your success. But as you mentioned some earlier, you mentioned privacy, right? So moving ahead for the next question, security is very top priority, right, for every DeFi investors. So could you walk us through the security architecture of DeFi.com, from the smart contract audits to fund protection, and also what multi-layers protocol are you using to ensure the user's safety?
Yeah, so I can only go into a certain level of detail on the underlying architecture, because we are still kind of in the process of signing some contracts with partners on various bits and pieces, but we'll be announcing more on that soon. But in terms of the key principles that we have around security, there's three, I would say. One is self-custody. We will always ensure that the crypto assets that the users hold are non-custodial. DeFi.com will not have custody of any user's funds. And in terms of security from a user's perspective, that means that at any point you don't have vendor lock-in, and you can withdraw your funds if you feel that you're not being served by DeFi.com, or if DeFi.com disappeared off the face of the earth. Obviously, we don't think or want that to happen. We want to make sure that our users are getting enough value from the product that they can keep them there, and that we continue to build a product and we're around for a very long time. So that's not going to be an issue. But self custody is, rooted in kind of the team's beliefs, and is something that we are committed to maintaining. So that's part of the security posture that we've taken for our users. They will always control the underlying crypto assets. The other angle is around the protocols that we use and the providers that we partner with. We are bringing together like some of the best in class DeFi protocols and underlying infrastructure providers to make sure that this is a secure product end to end. And that means that we do a lot of due diligence working with these partners, and we also have a very experienced team who have been in this space for a long time, and they know which projects have been operating at this level for a considerable amount of time and have been battle tested. So we are only working with the best providers that that give us that level of security that we need. And you touched on audits. We make sure that the relevant partners have gone through public and third party audits. On our side as well, any smart contracts that we operate ourselves or build ourselves will be going through full thorough auditing, third-party audits, and we'll be going through all the relevant kind of internal robustness checks around that as well. So it's very much a big priority for us, is making sure that we are locked down on a security point of view from multiple different angles, and we get people outside of the team auditing and making sure that our security is where it needs to be as well.
Wow, that's perfect, Sam, to be honest. And for me, security is something every users value, right? We cannot argue with that. So it's reassuring to hear you for that approach. But for the next question, Sam, that I have here, which blockchain networks are currently supported on your platform? And are there any plans to cross chains integration to expand your reach to other major ecosystem in the near future?
Yeah, so we I won't go into the specific change at the moment because that's one of the things that we're still finalizing now, but we'll be able to confirm that in the near future. But these are all kind of major chains that you would expect to see. They'll all be familiar to the people on this call for support. What we have done is we've chosen networks that provide us with the kind of principles that we're adhering to. So on the DeFi side, we need to make sure there is enough DeFi on that network with a deep liquidity and volume happening on chain, so that we can access that DeFi via the DeFi.com app, and also the privacy side as well. So we want to work with networks that are prioritizing privacy in their current stack, or at least have it on their roadmap to improve it, so that we can evolve as the privacy infrastructure evolves as well. And these are the networks that we're looking to work with, or we are integrating for our launch. To your second point, we are definitely going to be a multi-chain product, because there are benefits and features of other networks that we also want our users to be able to access. So the number of networks that we support will expand, and we will be kind of choosing those networks as we progress. We're going to have quite a principled approach on the networks that we support and the benefits that we get from that network. I don't think we're going to be a team that kind of offers a network just because it's in hype right now. It's got to be something that provides that security, those Lindy effects, and also the underlying benefits as well, that we expect to see and we need to maintain for our products over the long term. So jumping on a hype train to make a bit of buzz is not really the kind of project that we are. We are making sure that there's actually an underlying value and a deliberate decision around the networks that we choose and support, that in the end give value to the users.
Wow, that's exciting and very interesting to hear, Sam. Thank you so much for that answer. And we all know that cross-chain support will definitely open more opportunities for users, right? And for the next one, Sam, when it comes to user experience, what technical innovations have you implemented to simplify the complexities of the DeFi world for a common user?
Yeah, so user experience is at the heart of everything we're doing. And as I said earlier, there's trade-offs that you have to make in terms of the amount of information that you give a user, the amount of choice you give a user, and I think that there's benefits in us being opinionated in the options that the user is exposed to, because otherwise it can be very, very overwhelming for the users. So we will be providing users with access to um, DeFi yield that is somewhat curated by us, so that you can kind of choose the best providers out of a bunch of options that we think um, are secure, provide good yield and good risk trade-offs. The other aspects around user experience is something that we are kind of working through as a design and a product team around. It's something called gradual revelation of information, right? So if you want to, let me just give you an example. If you want to get into a yield bearing position, there is a huge amount of information that you might want to consume before you actually deposit funds into it, particularly if you're depositing a large amount of funds into a DeFi position. If you're depositing a small amount, maybe let's take $50 per month, for example, um, you might not need to digest, pages and pages of information or have that level of depth of understanding. So the important thing for us is that the users have access to that information when they need it, but the user experience is as simplified as possible. So when you are depositing into a DeFi position, you'll be able to do that very quickly and easily if you want to. But there'll also be a path in the user experience for you to find out more. And you can find out more again if you want to understand, for example, what network it's on, if it's curated by a certain vault curator, um, who's curating that vault, which DeFi protocol is it underlying, and then if it's like a DeFi vault, you can then go a level deeper and actually see the underlying assets that are being allocated in that vault. But if you don't want to, you can just go straight in because all you really care about is the yield that you're getting and the rough risk profile against that vault. So that's kind of a process that we are trying to adhere through multiple aspects of the UX, is this gradual revelation where the information is there and it's transparent if you need it. If you don't need it, you've got a very simple, slick, and fast UX to get you in and out of positions and use the features. I hope that makes sense.
Well, it definitely makes sense. And that was a very interesting revelation, Sam, to be honest. And I love that focus on, user experience, right? Because we all know lowering the learning curve is one key to mass adoption, right? But moving ahead for the next question, what is the most significant technological choice your team made that, in your opinion, Sam, what makes DeFi.com future proof against rapid changes in a blockchain technology?
Yeah, so this is a I think it goes back to it is a technology question, but in a sense it's also not a technology question because in the world that we're operating in now, which is becoming more and more influenced by AI, the technical choices that you make have less opportunity cost against them, right? You could probably spin up a basic neobank type app in a few days, right? Just by using Claude or something like that. So where products actually differentiate themselves in this kind of futuristic world is via the product taste and the choices that you make around the UX and the users in particular that you are targeting and trying to help. So we have made obviously technical choices to get us to where we are now, and some of them are future-proofing ourselves around privacy, which I think is going to become more and more important going forward for people as they become more aware of these things. That's going to be really important, and we've made some conscious choices of which underlying technologies and infrastructure we are using for those. But a lot of it is around the product choice and the product taste, I think, in terms of how we win over the long term. Because as we've seen with the SaaS apocalypse, as they called it, like you can build Monday.com, you can build a load of SaaS products really cheaply and easily using Claude now, but there's a whole host of other operations and product choices that that product team have made to build that, which means that they are not necessarily just going to disappear. So a lot of it is around customer support, distribution, the UX trade-offs that you've made, the partnerships that you've made with providers, the communities that you've built. It becomes a lot more around the other things that are outside of technology now than it was previously, because the barrier to entry in the technological sense is much lower than it was even 12 months ago. So that's how I would think about that.
Well, it's good to hear that the way you think about that, Sam. It's very insightful, to be honest, because we all know building for the future is what separates for long term projects from the rest. That's for me, for my opinion. But moving ahead for the next question, Sam, as a platform that handles digital assets, how do you define ethical responsibility towards users, who might be new to crypto and very prone to making risk decisions?
Yeah, this is an interesting trade-off, right? And it's there's definitely a balance. You don't want someone to accidentally put their life savings into something that they don't understand, that's got a huge amount of risk, that they could potentially um, lose those life savings without really understanding what's happening. So we do need to be very careful about this and balance it with the user experience for more general users that want to just put some of their assets into a position, right, and make sure that's nice and easy for them. Part of it is around that gradual revelation of information that I was talking about earlier, that you can dig deeper into the information if you want to and find out all of the underlying assets and how those are being managed. That's part of it. The other part is around the security choices that we make ourselves and the providers that we use, making sure that we are not just giving people options to deposit into a unsustainable yield position that is going to get rugged at some point in the future. And the final point is around the where we touch upon kind of the regulated aspects of the product, because we have one side of the product which is self-custodial decentralized finance that is not regulated in general, and then we have other aspects of the product like the Visa card on and off ramps where you will need to KYC, and those aspects of the product are obviously kind of buttoned down, and they've got a lot more regulatory restrictions on them. So we make sure that we are squared away there and that the users go through those relevant parts. But when people are moving fiat funds into DeFi, we we think we are striking the right balance between providing enough information without impacting the user experience and without exposing the users to a choice of products that are, um, let's say, overly risky. Where there is higher risk, we will make sure that the user knows that there is higher risk, and they should probably dig deeper and do their own research before depositing any funds there. But we are mainly focusing on delivering blue chip protocols with sustainable yields rather than chasing on higher unsustainable yields. There will also obviously be the relevant risk disclaimers that people will need to be aware of before they deposit into a DeFi protocol as well.
Well, I really appreciate that perspective of yours, Sam, to be honest, because we all know, right, responsible innovation is very essential for growing the crypto industry, right? So, moving ahead, for the next question, Sam, if the entire crypto market were to shift its focus away from, speculation and move entirely towards real world utility, so how DeFi.com positions to remain a central player in this new reality?
Yeah, well, we are already positioning ourselves in that direction, not because we think that the world will kind of the world of DeFi will focus on real world utility, but because we think that those two worlds will have to coexist, at least for the foreseeable future. And we want people to be able to access those things alongside each other for a better user experience and convenience. Um, we will be building this bridge, as I said, to kind of the fiat and traditional finance world through spending through fiat accounts. And in the future, we'd like people to be able to buy, um, commodities and equities through DeFi.com as well. First, they will probably be tokenized equities and tokenized real world assets. But in the future, we also want people to be able to buy, normal equities as well through traditional finance methods, so that they get those options. So we are already kind of positioning ourselves as the bridge between DeFi and traditional finance. I don't think if the world of crypto suddenly changed its focus from speculation to something a little bit different, like NFTs again, or crypto gaming, or on-chain gaming, that's probably a pivot that's that's too big for us to anticipate at the moment. I think that we are just getting more and more validation from the market that crypto fine and on-chain finance, in particular with stable coins and real world assets, is gaining more and more adoption, and more of the traditional finance players are moving capital on chain. More, in particular, emerging markets are adopting stable coins, but also developed markets are as well. And the financial use cases in blockchains have been well known for a long time. I think we are now getting to the stage where the underlying infrastructure is allowing people like us to build applications that people can actually use without that massive barrier to entry. So it feels like the financial use case is just getting stronger and stronger in terms of market validation. So pretty confident on that.
Yes, that's very indeed, Sam. For me, that's very strong vision, to be honest, because real world utility will be, foundation of the next crypto wave, right? And Sam, as we are in the mid 2026, what are your primary, objectives for the rest of the year? Are there, many major upcoming technical updates or platform features you can share with our community today?
Yeah, so our first kind of major milestone is around the MVP launch itself. So we will be launching the product. We want people to join the waitlist now, so that they can get early access to that launch and start giving us feedback on the product. And we are hoping we should be doing that sort of towards the end of this summer. So that's going to be our big milestone, is actually getting this in front of you guys on the call, getting your feedback on the product, telling us what's good and what needs improvement, and that's going to help us shape what we do next. We've got plenty of ideas for enhancing the product going forward, but I'm really excited in particular about getting the MVP in front of users and getting them to give us some feedback, so that we are building exactly what you need, not what we think you guys need. So that's the main thing for me.
Wonderful. That's, for me, that's very sounds interesting and exciting as well. We'll definitely be watching for those updates. But yeah, anyway, Sam, looking 10 years into the future, what is the one specific change or, impact you want the name DeFi.com to represent the global financial history books?
I would love to. I would love for people to think of DeFi.com as helping to mature the DeFi ecosystem and bring it to the mainstream. I think that there are a lot of ways and a lot of features within the traditional finance system that don't currently exist in DeFi. And I think if we are going to get trillions of dollars on chain, we are going to need to find solutions to these problems. And in particular, I think of credit, which is a massive part of traditional finance. Think about mortgages, for example, car payments, these kind of things. We don't have a very good way at the moment of providing under collateralized debt to consumers. You can go to Aave or Morpho and borrow crypto assets, but these are over collateralized positions. You have to put in more collateral than you take out in debt. So we need to find a mechanism for getting users under collateralized debt so that they can buy houses, so that they can buy cars, so they can do all the things that you need to do in the traditional finance world. And part of what we are building with DeFi.com is what we call a progressive trust protocol, where people's on-chain activity and kind of the length of time that they've been operating on chain builds a reputation score against their DeFi ID. So if you have morph.defi.com, you will have a score associated with that you build as you kind of interact with the world of DeFi. And in theory, that makes you a lower risk counterparty to anyone that's offering you debt. For example, if they can see that you've been a good actor on chain and you haven't been involved in a bunch of nefarious activities, then you may get offered better rates. In the future, you may even be able to be offered under collateralized loans. So you can buy a car with a smaller deposit, or you can buy a house with a deposit as well. It's going to take time for the legitimacy of DeFi and on-chain finance to get to that stage, and there's definitely going to need to be regulatory support from governments in order to support that. But we can provide the underlying mechanisms for that now, and push that as hard as and as fast as we can. I would like to be involved in helping the DeFi ecosystem mature in that sense. And I would also like to see more and more people relying on self-custodial products and DeFi for their everyday personal finances. And that's kind of the vision here, is that we want people to be able to access DeFi through fiat accounts. They should still be able to spend in fiat as well, because that's where we are now, and we probably will be, at least for the medium term. But I would like to see more payments happening native crypto to crypto, so the merchant actually receives stable coins, for example. I'd like to see more people putting a higher proportion of their savings into DeFi protocols rather than a traditional savings account, and see more people putting more of their assets into self-custody rather than relying on custodial solutions through traditional finance. And I think over time we will see that. Maybe it starts as an average of 5% or 10% of people's net assets are on chain and self-custodial. In the future, it might be 10 or 15, hopefully 50, 80% in the future. That's a long way out, but that's kind of where I would like to see things go over 10 years. And I'd like people to think of DeFi.com as being a part of that, adding that legitimacy and a product that they can rely on for their personal finances.
Wow, thank you so much for that detailed answer, Sam. I really appreciate that. And for me, that's good to hear that you have, ambitious goal. That's a very ambitious goal. And I really like it, Sam. And we do hope to see DeFi.com achieve that legacy. But anyway, moving ahead, Sam, you have been running various marketing campaigns, right? So I just want to ask, are there any upcoming events or exclusive, opportunities that our Valence crypto community should look forward to?
Yes, there's a couple of things to talk about. One is a competition that we're running on X. It's going to be something a bit more creative rather than just like a retweet farm. But the winners will of that competition will be getting early access to the product, as among some other things. And we're also building out a referral program, because we think that it's important to have an engaged community, and having network effects where you can share with your friends and family a product that you like and be rewarded for that is really important. So we want people to be engaging with the product, engaging with the community, and vouching for us with their network. We don't have exact dates for those, but yeah, if you guys find those ideas interesting and you want to get involved in the competition and also the referral program, best thing to do is to follow us on X and join our Telegram, and join our waitlist as well, and we'll be sharing more about those things very soon.
I see. That was very awesome and interesting to hear, Sam, to be honest. And of course, our community will definitely be looking forward for this opportunity. But moving ahead, the DeFi landscape evolves rapidly, right? So where do you envision DeFi.com in the next 2 to 3 years? And what role do you want to play in the global financial shift?
I think over the next 2 to 3 years, we want DeFi.com to be established as like one of the trusted platforms that people can use and rely on for their their personal finance and be the home of their personal finance. We we want to see an engaged group of users that are using it on a day-to-day basis, that are really finding value from the product. We're definitely building this product for the longer term, and we want our community to be part of that and to have some people that are fully engaged with the product and using it on a regular basis. As we enhance the product, as I said before, we want people to be relying on it more and more and actually using more of the features that we're building, and moving more of their personal finances into the DeFi.com app. In terms of what role we want to play in the shift, I think making on-chain finance easier for people, showing people the benefits of moving value on chain, how cheap it can be, how fast it can be, and now with what we're trying to build, how convenient and user friendly it can be, is going to be a big selling point for people. And I want people to, I want us to play a role in moving more of people's finances on chain for those benefits. But we need to communicate those benefits to people. We need to build a product that allows people to do that very easily without there being too much friction. Because the value is only going to be achievable to people if they can get over the user friction. We are trying to lower that user friction as much as possible so that they can get that value as easily as possible. So yeah, that's where I think we are going over the next 2 to 3 years. There's plenty of features that we are going to be building out to kind of achieve those things. And over the even longer term, as I said, we've even got plans and ambitions beyond that.
Wow, that's good to hear, and I'm really excited for this one, Sam. And for me, that's a promising roadmap, and wishing the team continued success on that journey. But for the next one, Sam, that I have here for you, we all know that building a massive and loyal community is very challenging, right? So, as a part of Valence Crypto, I see the growth that you are achieving right now. So, what is the secret recipe for maintaining community engagement? And how do you handle the challenges of users onboarding?
For me, it goes back to product and the value that the product gives people. There is an early kind of influx of users that are just interested in the underlying technology in the crypto space in particular. Either they're interested in the underlying technology, or they are there for purely speculative means, like they think that they are going to get an airdrop or something like that. We're building a product that should be valuable in its own right, and I don't want us to be an NFT project or an airdrop project that suddenly gets a bunch of users and is relevant for a few months and then dies off. As I said, we've got big ambitions and we want to be around for 10, 20 years going forward. And the only way that you do that is by giving people genuine value and kind of solving problems in their everyday life, and making sure that you solve those problems better than anyone else, so that they don't churn and go to other products. So that's what we're building here, is like a long-term strategy and products that we think will actually add a lot of benefit to people in their real world life. Um, what follows is a group of engaged people that are using the product, that are hopefully they care enough about the product to engage with us and tell us where we're going wrong, what features they'd like to see, what's important to them and what's not important to them, and it becomes a virtuous circle of we've got a great product, we've got a great bunch of engaged users and a community that's helping us to make the product even better. That reinforces the product, that brings more users into the community, etc., etc. So for me, it always comes back to the product and making sure that people are getting value from the product. That's the long term thesis for keeping people engaged.
Wonderful. It's good to hear, Sam. The you have that kind of perspective because community first thinking is what creates lasting ecosystem, right? But I think for our last question, for those who are new to the DeFi.com ecosystem, Sam, what is your message or advice for them? Is there any special milestone you want to leave for our community excited about?
So I think the message to the people on the call or people that are interested in DeFi.com is go to our website and sign up to the waitlist. If any of the things that I've said resonate with you, then it'd be worth your time going and just signing up there and getting access to the product. If you also want to reach out to me directly, you can do that on X or on Telegram. I think those handles are already shared as part of the details of the call. Um, Follow us on X, engage with the community, help us build a great product. And alongside all the things that I've said, we're also building like a news platform so you can find the latest DeFi and financial news there. There'll be an education resource for people to learn more about DeFi if they want to go a bit deeper than they would do if they're not kind of crypto or DeFi native. So there's going to be a bunch of kind of complementary aspects to the product that we're building as well, which I think people will find valuable. Um, so yeah, go and sign up and get involved. We'd be happy to hear from you.
Wow, thank you for sharing your insights, Sam. I really appreciate you for doing that. And as well as we appreciate your time and wish the entire DeFi.com team continued success. And once again, Sam, thank you for such a great session. And thank you to everyone who joined us today for today's AMA. And as always, guys, we encourage everyone to do their own research, fully understand how the system works, and approach any project opportunity with care and discipline. Thank you for your time, Sam, once again, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next AMA session. And with that, we have a great day ahead, and you have a great day ahead, and bye for now. Thank you so much, Sam, for this very insightful conversation. And thank you so much, Rich, and you have a great day ahead.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone.